Here's a paradox of modern work I bet you've seen. Companies spend millions, literally millions, on collaboration tools. They hire the absolute sharpest people they can find, and they map out these incredibly detailed processes. And yet, communication still completely breaks down. All the time.
So that's the big question, right? Why does this keep happening? If we have all the right ingredients, the smart people, the fancy tools, why does the recipe for clear communication just fail so often?
Well, it turns out the problem isn't what we usually think it is. It's not your tools, it's not your talent. The real issue is something much more fundamental, something we almost always overlook. The problem is context.
That's the vital, crucial information that gives our work meaning. It's the who, the why, the what happened before. You can think of it like the invisible thread that connects everything together. And when that thread is missing, things just start to fall apart.
So, let's get real. What does this breakdown actually look like day to day? We're going to dive into the high cost of these context gaps and how they cause really smart people to make what are, honestly, perfectly reasonable mistakes.
Okay, picture this. You're writing a big project update. You've got all your facts straight, the deliverables, the deadlines, the progress. It's perfect. But here's the thing you don't know. The CFO just grilled your boss about budget constraints yesterday. So your update, which is factually perfect, completely misses the real question on everyone's mind. It just lands with a thud.
Or how about this one? This happens all the time. You spend weeks crafting a brilliant strategic proposal. You do all your homework. But what you have no way of knowing is that a similar idea was already tried and failed 2 years ago, long before you even joined. That institutional memory? It lives in someone's head, or worse, it's buried in some ancient email thread nobody can ever find. So you end up proposing something that's already dead on arrival. And the really insidious thing about these context gaps is that you start to doubt yourself. When you keep missing information you had no possible way of knowing, you start to think, wait, am I the problem? You tell yourself, I should have known that. Why didn't I ask the right question?
But here's the truth. Everyone else is struggling with the exact same gaps. Nobody wants to admit it, though, so we all kind of suffer in silence. This isn't just about making a simple mistake. It's a full-blown crisis of professional confidence, and it's created by a system that makes it basically impossible to get the context you need to do your best work.
Let's put some numbers on this. Let's say you send a super detailed analysis to a key stakeholder. Great work, but you don't know that this person only reads one-paragraph executive summaries, so they skim it, miss the whole point, and now you have to schedule a 30-minute meeting with 3 people just to walk them through it. 30 minutes, 3 people, boom! That's 90 minutes of valuable time just gone.
And you'll never see this stuff on a balance sheet. When a project gets delayed, we don't say, oh, we lost 2 weeks because of a context breakdown. No, we use corporate speak. We say there were communication issues, or we had some misalignment. But it's really context loss, every single time. And the cost is absolutely staggering, not just in lost time, but in team morale.
But this problem, it goes even deeper. And this is a big one. It creates these hidden, unexpected inequalities. That's right, context loss has serious equity implications that most organizations don't even see.
Just think about who gets left out. What about the parents who have to leave at 5 p.m. sharp? They miss that quick sync after hours where a critical decision gets made. Or the folks in different time zones who can't just be part of a random hallway conversation. Remote workers, employees with disabilities, anyone with caregiving duties. When the most important context lives in these informal, in-the-moment chats, whole groups of talented people are systematically left behind.
So, at the end of the day, this isn't just a productivity problem. It's an equity problem, plain and simple. When you build systems that make context available to everyone, you level the playing field. You make sure everyone gets the same access to knowledge, no matter when, where, or how they work. That's not just about efficiency. That's about fairness.
Okay, but wait a minute. You're probably thinking, we invested in all these tools to solve this. Slack, Teams, the whole shebang. They all promised us better communication. And here's the real irony. They did make some things better, but they also made the context problem worse.
Worse? How could they make it worse? Well, because now, instead of critical information living in, say, 3 places, it lives in 7. Is that key decision in an email, a Slack channel, a Teams chat, a Google Doc comment, a Jira ticket, or maybe it was mentioned on a Zoom call and it's buried in the transcript? We went from email overload to everything overload.
We've just fragmented context into a million little pieces. And no search bar in the world can fix that. Because search only works if you know what you're looking for and where it might be. The fundamental flaw is right here. You can't search for a conversation you don't even know happened.
To really get how backward our approach is, just think about what we used to do before we invented databases. Seriously, imagine if every time you needed customer information, you had to find a person who simply remembered it.
That would be insane, right? Totally nuts. But that is exactly what we do with our most valuable organizational knowledge. We rely on individual human memory and a bunch of manual searching instead of having smart systems that preserve and surface that context automatically. Even in the best companies with the smartest people, momentum is lost to this breakdown every single day.
So the problem really isn't the quality of your team or how fancy your tools are. It's this invisible context gap, a huge problem that honestly no one has been solving until now. And just understanding that this gap exists, well, that's the first step to finally being able to fix it.